Last week, we talked with Sheila about the external barrier of ageism and how women navigating career reinvention are often overlooked, not because of a lack of skill, but because of outdated perceptions of their potential. Today, we take that conversation one powerful step further, because overcoming external barriers doesn't always mean pushing harder. Sometimes it means aligning better. In this episode, you'll meet Mozella Perry Ademiluyi, a licensed attorney, leadership guide, and founder of Mountain Peak Strategies, who believes that true, sustainable achievement happens when we engage the whole self-head, heart, and hands. Mozella knows firsthand how steep the climb can be. At age 50, she attempted to summit Mount Kilimanjaro and didn't make it. 10 years later, she returned, reached the 19,341-foot peak, and uncovered a life-changing realization that internal alignment is the secret to external success. Whether you're navigating the rollback of DEI toxic work cultures or the quiet burnout of carrying it all, this episode gives you tools to move forward with gentle power instead of force. We'll talk about how to realign when your ambition turns into exhaustion, why rest isn't just self-care, it's strategic, and how women can support each other without competing for the same limited seat at the table. This episode is part of our Season 2 series on external barriers, and more importantly, how to overcome them. If you've been climbing a mountain that feels more like shifting sand, this one's for you. Let's get started. All righty. In today's world, many women in leadership in high achieving roles feel like they're climbing a mountain made of sand, especially with DEI being rolled back rather than stone. Every step forward seems like a slide back, and progress feels exhausting. Meanwhile, those at the top of the mountain who see our climb and has not shared that journey with us might see those climbing the mountain as a threat. Now you've climbed real mountains, mountains of stone. What lessons have you learned from the climb that can help women navigate the consistent shifting challenges of today's professional world?
Well, thank you so much, Natalie. It's great to be here with you and your audience. Great question. And it's interesting when you mentioned sand and stone. On Kilimanjaro, there are 5 different climate zones that we had to navigate. I mean, you have the rainforest and it's warm. So we had sand, we had stone, we had it all. And just like life, we do have to navigate various different climates, environments, all kinds of situations which we have today. And so it's almost like the call to be prepared, because there's never one type of challenge or environment that you're going to face. And so the real key, and I know we'll get to this, the real key is really that preparation comes from within.
I love that. And so as far as, us being prepared, if we feel like we're losing ground despite all of our efforts, all of our preparation, how can we maintain our momentum and avoid being discouraged?
Right. And again, it may sound repetitive, but it really does get back to us. It's that internal environment. That is it's the inner self is the only thing we really can control. And so it's where we always have to go back to, okay, where is my energy now? This is a bad situation. I'm not denying that. We're not denying that. We see that. But how can I respond in the best possible way as opposed to react in a way that perhaps is negative or draining to my energy? And so it is about knowing and seeking out techniques, understanding self, our physiology, the connection and coherence or lack thereof between what we think and what we feel. So all of that, it's just an ongoing, just shifting the compass of where we are. Sometimes, if the wind is blowing this way, then we need to navigate just a tiny bit in order to withstand it. If we're about to go outside and we know it's freezing, what do? We put on extra coats, extra layers. And so when we see the tides of whatever, the waves are going against us or what we perceive as being against us, then the best thing is to figure out what's my plan, because we check the weather every day. We go out ready for it. So we need to try and put out that weather vane as well for having some idea of where we are and knowing what kind of help sometimes we need to seek in order to pivot or just to know when we're going to make that next step or how we're going to make it.
And I like that. So I do have an accountability group that I hang out with. These are amazing women. And that is one of the things that we constantly talk about is what is the energy around us and how do we raise it? And how do we, embrace that positive energy? And I love what you say about it's checking out what's happening inside of us. And that's constantly what we're talking about. What is happening inside of us? And many women are working harder than ever before, yet they might feel stuck because the real battle isn't just external, it's internal. So my main question is, what are some of the invisible causes that maybe determine whether or not we succeed or stay stagnant that might be in our control?
Sure, absolutely. A lot of times, okay, let's just take the cell phone, the common cell phone. We have to go out, and the first thing we're going to do is, check our cell phone just to see where the battery is. We see it on yellow or red. What do? Immediately, we plug it in. We keep that precious cell phone charged and recharged and overcharged. And yet, we don't have the same understanding that we manage our own energy by knowing how to renew ourselves, how to recharge. And we don't take an assessment of right now, are my thoughts, my actions, my feelings, are those empowering me, renewing me, or are they depleting me? And if they are depleting, and even if you feel pumped up and renewed, you still want to make sure that if I'm here in energy, I can go here. And the difference between where I am at a certain level versus a higher level could be a matter of just habits that we establish to increase our energy capacity. Those habits can take 3 or 4 minutes. And the higher you start with your battery being charged, that when it dips down a little bit and you can bring it back up, you don't just let it fall down. And some of those habits, I mean, your listeners can go to heartmath.org, certified trainer of HeartMath, but they have a wealth of information and techniques that if you would just practice those, they just are in the moment, just like that plug, in the moment ability to recharge your energy. It's a game changer. It really is. And the more you practice it, the more you realize, wow, this really works. It's like building a muscle every day. You pump it up a little bit more. And so your stamina just becomes increased by what you can do.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend last weekend, a person on my accountability group, and she had just done some amazing things. She actually got herself, I think it was like a 42% raise. And the way that she did it is she found an opportunity that was outside of her company, and she had been nurturing this relationship with this gentleman to the point where she got herself a promotion and the 42% raise. It was amazing, but she had been going, and she had just moved to a new city and her batteries were drained.
Yes.
And she felt like she was super hard on herself. And I was like, man, sister, you just need to go take a nap.
Yes.
Go get a massage.
Yes. Brilliant.
It was, and she did come out of the weekend much more recharged. And I felt like she needed just a companion to say, be gentle on yourself.
Right. And I really applaud you and other women who actually do have small groups of accountability partners, or some people call them mastermind partners. It is so important. Sometimes just that quick phone call, or just that one idea. You're like, and it's not that you didn't know it, you just weren't applying it.
Yeah.
You weren't using what you know, and somebody else can reflect just what you did to her, and it just makes the world of difference. Nap. I take 15 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour every day if I can, and I notice the difference when I don't.
Can you share a moment in your own journey where shifting that internal mindset led to a huge external breakthrough?
Sure. Well, I'll use the mountain as an example. And this is a long time, it's 10 years. But, when I first went up when I was 50, my mindset, it was so much harder than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be hard, but it was even harder. And so what I was saying to myself every night when we, went tried to go to sleep, is I was telling myself I couldn't do it. That, oh my gosh, are we going to be able to face what tomorrow holds? And my answer was always either I don't know or I don't think so. And so, of course, we didn't make it. We got up to 15,000 feet, but that wasn't where we wanted to go. And so it took me 10 years. So it's a question of it is just a decision. It is just a choice. Now that choice took me 10 years, but there was some reasons why I chose that particular marker of 10 years going back when I was 60. But each moment gives us an opportunity to use one of the techniques, to recite our personal statement, to take a few deep breaths, to take a nap, whatever, and so for me, I just remind myself of that, of what I teach. And so I use these same techniques. Okay, Mozella, slow it down, take a couple of deep breaths, or I recite my personal statement, which I've memorized now. And so I say it to myself and just pause, just stop and reshift. And so whether it's something huge, like, you waited years or you had to, or something just a matter of, wow, I've got another meeting in 30 minutes. I need to really get myself together. And so I just, and then also, Natalie, it helps to have a proactive plan so that I don't know when the different challenges are going to come up through the day, but I know they're coming. And so if I have an ongoing system that every 30 minutes, or if I'm working from home, when I get up, I just take a few minutes to take those deep breaths, do the quick coherence technique so that I've aligned what I'm thinking and where my goals are with what I'm feeling. When I have that kind of coherence and I am using my God-given ability to self-regulate, then chances are good I might shake in my boots a tiny bit, but I'm still moving forward.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that I also started to do, which is what I hear you saying is I started thinking about what do I want to feel during this meeting as I lead this meeting or as I participate in this meeting. What do I want to feel? I want
Right.
to feel confident. I want to feel on fire. I want to feel motivated. I want to feel whatever. And I listed those feelings. I'm like, okay, in order to feel those things, what do I need to do?
Yes.
Well, I might need to answer a few questions in my own head so I feel confident. I might need to smile.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And it was a game changer for me.
Right. If you don't mind, there's something you said, it just reminded me of several quotes in your book, but Unsealing Your Career. I mean, just brilliant. And it's amazing. We hear the same messages over and over again. And we need to. But sometimes they hit us in a different way.
Yes.
And I love what you said about your mom. And you said she had a way of daydreaming constructively. And you had realized that your own daydreaming time wasn't as beneficial as hers. And so sometimes it's just a question of us choosing to envision, choosing to see. Like you said, I want to know, I want to be able to infuse, because that's what we're doing when we're with other people. Our energy is, it's electric, it's magnetic, and people can feel it. They go, ooh, she's not in a good mood today. You can sense it. And so when you intentionally project the kind of energy that you want a meeting, they're going to pick up on it. They're going to feel your excitement. They're going to feel your enthusiasm and your intention to keep everything, not that things don't dip, but it's as a leader, when you hold the kind of energy that you want to see in the world, so to speak, in that meeting or with another person, you have that power.
I love it. Now, some high achievers feel like they have to keep pushing, using push energy, no matter what the cost. But at what point does ambition, that push energy, turn to burnout?
Yes.
How do you balance that?
Right. Well, again, you just reminded me another book by David Hawkins, the late David Hawkins. He has a book called Power versus Force. And so what you're suggesting is that, what was just described is by force. I'm going to get up this mountain. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to force it to happen. I'm going to, you use a heavy hand. instead of the softer power. Power is very strong. It really is. I mean, people think, oh, force will do it, but really it's the inner power that helps to make those changes. So again, these are all things that we have the capacity to influence. We can't make anybody think or do anything. And one of the things I just want to add when you talk about this making, see, people think that, okay, I can push my idea. I can put this thought and this whatever it is I want to say out there. But if you can't move people in their hearts, if you can't help them shift their emotions, I don't care how much you shout, yell, and scream, it's not going to resonate. They're still not going to step out with the right movement or the best movement. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. So just the choice of how can I infuse energy and power into this situation rather than force and in a more negatively, it would be negatively received. People will push back. She's who she thinks she is, that kind of.
Yeah, I could see it. And one of the quotes that I like to say to another friend of mine is that, when you take a look at the Grand Canyon, it wasn't made from a hammer. It was made from flowing water. And
Right.
so it's important that force versus the, push versus flow
Yes.
is evident there.
Yes, a gentle power.
Going back to one of the things that you had mentioned, you talked about, taking a nap, taking a break, making sure that your battery is charged. What are some of the daily or weekly habits that you've employed to get up the mountain or that you use every day to be your best person?
Right. Well, thanks for asking that. I like to start my morning with just some morning quiet time. And my quiet time is contemplating a little bit of meditation, my own, just being still, just taking a couple of breaths. But a lot of it's just reading. It's reading maybe notes that I've taken, my own statement. How I start my day is really so critical. How I end my day is equally as important. And I have smaller amounts of time between my start, because boy, once you step out that door, you're off to the races, right? And the problem often is that we have no system because we can't stop and meditate really in our day or necessarily, it's not easy for most people, but we can take 2 or 3 minutes on a regular basis. And that's what I try to remember to do myself is, okay, Mozella, you get a little anxious here. Let's just do what you know, quick coherence technique, the inner ease is all kinds of, as I said, go on to heart math. And there's just so many, or techniques that we're already aware of. We've heard other people share, and just know that in between the start of your day and the end of the day, you're not helpless, that you do have everything that's coming at you. You'll be able to manage it, manage your energy just by, and people don't even have to know what you're doing, but you're looking at them, you're listening, and you're just taking those breaths. And if you have a little mantra, and it can really, with practice, it really does shift a lot.
It's really impressive I actually turned 60 this June.
Oh, congratulations.
And I was thinking to
Young one.
myself, would I be prepared to climb a mountain? I don't know.
Sure you will. You're doing them every day. I mean,
Yes.
you're climbing them all the time. Actually, I have one more answer to that question that you talked when you mentioned, what do I do?
Okay.
When I was actually on the mountain, put it to you this way. After the first time and I couldn't do it, the steps that I needed to take came to me before I went on 10 years later to try again.
Yeah.
But going was a real test for me. It was an ability to practice. And those steps, I'll just give you 3 of them. All right. 1 from the head, 1 from the heart, and 1 from the hands. That's my 3H approach. And so the first one from the head is imagine first.
Yeah.
And it's like we always start with our vision of, we have to remind ourselves all the time, what do I want out of this particular meeting? What do I want out of my exercise session? And imagine first is about vision. And I say here, we are most likely to achieve our goal when we focus not on our fear of failure, but rather a vision of our success. success. And so that's how we kind of internalize in our thoughts and ideas. Now, let me give you an example of something that comes from the heart. And this is attitude, then altitude. That's a very common mountaineering and life type of principle. And it's about our belief. If my attitude is that I'm not good enough, I'm not going to make it, I'm going to panic, what am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to make those steps simply because I have already told myself where I'm going. And honestly, our hearts have most of us don't really think that, but our hearts have a greater capacity to impact our physiology than what we say. So let me just read the principle behind the attitude and altitude. Our thought is not only our capacity, but also our belief that defines our ability to move forward. So we've got to have the head together, we've got to have the heart. And then when it comes down to the hands, the movement, realigning with the steps. So there are times when we're headed in this particular direction on a mountain, on a plane, on a project, and we realize that, we've lost some momentum here. And so we need to make a shift. And in the principle of realign with the steps says that the more daunting a task, the more we benefit from realigning ourselves to it. And so sometimes we have to feel, okay, I know where I'm going, but I've kind of lost my inner inspirations. We have to realign how we feel and what we do. They help us to really get to where we want and need to be.
That makes a lot of sense because like even I'm thinking about a tennis match, I may not hit a ball the way that I feel like I can strike it. And then if I don't like realign my head and my heart in that moment, then I can let a missed shot, a missed ball really impact the rest of my game.
Absolutely.
But if I reassess and say, okay, that was just one shot, you've got this, this is what it feels like, then there you go, I go.
And that's a perfect example because those of us who love tennis, and I do too, and I watch the tennis players and you can just see their reactions. They throw their hands up to their heads and they're just so disgusted. You can see it all over their face and their bodies about how they took it. But then you also see them make that readjustment where they're talking to themselves. At least they don't always, but for those who are just clear, they just do some kind of movement or they wake themselves back up just in that quick moment so that next shot is like, I'm going to get you back for that, and they just wallop that ball back. Yay.
And then they're like, yes, that's why I keep coming back to this game.
Exactly. And they're taught. I mean, they're all about the inner self because it's the inner self that leads the actions. Inner self, that head, heart, coherence will tell those hands and those feet exactly what to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so true. And it's like, I always focus on not how technically to hit it, but what it feels like to hit it well.
Right. That's right. Exactly. It just flows automatically. Once we get that alignment, your body knows what to do and how to move without your giving it constant instructions. Because really, as I said, those instructions from the heart, I'm gonna, this is it. This is the one.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that backhand.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I also am hearing from a lot of the guests that have come onto the show is a need for us women to support one another, especially during this time. We've always needed to support one another. And I wonder if you can talk about how women can not only go about, looking at themselves and getting themselves centered, but how can we support one another so that we feel like we're not competing for a limited space at the table. What we're doing is we're bringing women to the table.
Right. Absolutely. And it is about that sense of abundance. But what can we do? And it is an intentional do. Staying behind your computer, staying at home, especially for those of us who have home offices. It's getting out to where we know we can find like-minded, like-hearted women. And whether it's an association, a membership, and I do retreats and workshops, and I love to watch, and this is without me, the women connect and they create. I mean, we do have a mastermind type group, but individually, where there's two of them or three of them, they come together and they connect with each other and say, well, look, I need some help. Could you just read over these couple of pages for me and get back with me as soon as you can? We need to reach out for help. Nobody climbs any mountain. Nobody accomplishes any project, any success usually without the help of somebody else. And I have a term that I use in my work, and it says it takes a team to climb a mountain. And whatever your mountain is, because I'm kind of more an introvert, to be frank. And so I do have to push myself to go to this meeting, to get online and listen in and participate, because there's always somebody that we're going to align ourselves with, or we're in a meeting together and we decide, you know what, let's have lunch together and talk about a few things. So it is a proactive move on our part to go out and seek the team we need to get up the mountain. It might be one person, two people, might be somebody you meet at the gym, but go do that and look for ways. And every time you think of something, especially if you're going to a networking event, which intimidates so many of us, I think it's about deciding that if I just get one or two people that I really resonate with her energy, her story, what she does, then set up doesn't even have to be going out to lunch. Set up a Zoom date.
Yeah,
The kinds of things that propel us forward.
I like that.
Natalie, there's something else that it reminds me of a very popular African proverb. And it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I
And so
like it.
you make a determination. I want to get this quickly. Well, sometimes you do, but ultimately, if you have a longer range plan and desire and a goal that you know is going to take time, discuss what you're doing. Your accountability group, that's just the perfect example
Yes.
of what to do.
And it's amazing how it's almost like I don't remember a time not being with them.
Yes.
It's so amazing. So you have done so much, and climbing the mountain it's a journey, and it's one peak after another. And so I have to ask you, what's your next journey? Where is it that you're going to next? What's your next challenge that you're going after?
To really expand being it. See, when I have these retreats, now I have 3 retreats a year and picking back up in 26, but our group is 8 to 12 of us. It's a very intimate group. And what I'm being called to do and requested to do is to really invite more opportunities to speak to larger numbers of people. So essentially, it is to not limit myself to the kind of audience that I believe would most resonate, because I'm finding, even though I focus on women, but there are men out there saying, look, I'd like to do some of this as well. They're human beings, like we are. And so they also have some of the similar challenges internally that we do. And I think that it is, for me, it's just growing, expanding my capacity. Every time we either decide to expand, grow bigger, however you want to say it, choose another goal, climb another mountain, we need to have a map. We need to know where we're going. And I'm just going to hold up. I'm holding up something I use with my retreat ladies, and it says it's a map. MAP, MAAAP. It's my amazing, adventurous actualization plan. We need to be enthusiastic about anything that it is that we choose to do. Now, the map that I used going up Kilimanjaro are those 7 steps, but when I hand them their map and what I'm holding up is 3 blank sheets of paper in this brochure, because every time you start something new, I mean, yes, you've got the things that you have done in the past, everything that you know, your inner wisdom, but there are times when there's just going to be some new steps that you need to explore. And so therefore, I say, if it's on a napkin, map out everything. Everywhere we want to go. I need to do it myself, and my team helps me do that.
I love it. Now, so if people want to learn about your retreats, learn about you, join in, I believe you have a beautiful gift to offer.
Yes. Actually, I have 2 gifts, okay? All right. So the first one is, it's called the Mountaineer's Pocket Guide. And essentially the 7 steps, I only mentioned 3 of them to you, but they can go to mountainpeakstrategies.com and they can just enter their email. Essentially, I walk them through each one of the steps and questions that they can ask themselves. It really is something that they can just know where they are. What do I need? Is it my attitude? Let me go look at that. Is it the momentum I need? Let me go and look at the step that pertains to that. So that's that one gift, mountainpeakstrategies.com. And on that same website, they will be able to check out the offerings. We have several programs. They'll be able to find something that really fits them. And then the second gift is for them to go to the Mountain Newsletter. I was writing blogs for years, and so it is a very exciting opportunity for women, especially, to figure out how to redefine what it means to have it all. Because we want to be productive at home. We want to be productive at work. We want to prosper inside. We want to prosper financially and etc. Our health, everything, all of that is about prosperity. And we want to play. And playing is an opportunity to fuel both what you do at work and how you are at home. And so we have a weekly newsletter, again, called Mountain Newsletter. And if you look in the chat, you will be able to see the link to that, and we would like to offer your audience a 1-month upgrade to the premium, because we have this, the one you can have for free, and you can always just join that, but we're going to give them a test, let them just see what it is like, and if they'd like to join, and then they can actually upgrade to the premium, but at least they get to try it out and for a full month. So I hope that each one of you will take advantage of this and enjoy it, because again, there is a way, there is a method, and that guides us and leads us from where we are to where we want and need to be.
I thank you for that. And on behalf of the audience, thank you so much for that opportunity to do that. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your wisdom, the energy that you bring, and the inspiration.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I enjoyed talking with you very much, and I am finishing up your book. Thank you very much for having me.
What an incredible reminder from Mozella that real power doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from aligning our head, heart, and hands. Whether it's a boardroom or a mountaintop, sustainable success means preparing for the climb within, not just reacting to what's around us. From checking our internal weather to recharging like we would our phones, Mozella gave us more than inspiration. She gave us a map, one that helps us navigate the shifting terrain of leadership, burnout, and external expectations with clarity and grace. And speaking of external expectations, next week we're going to hear from Mary, a powerhouse who walked away from the perfect job to build something better. Her story is about challenging cultural pressures, breaking the myth of linear success, and choosing joy as a strategy, not a luxury. If you've ever asked yourself, am I allowed to want more than this? Mary's story will meet you right where you are. So go ahead and follow, subscribe, and download this episode and the next one so you can listen anytime, anywhere. It helps you stay in the loop, and it helps us grow the show, reach more listeners, and bring on great sponsors who support this message. And if today's conversation with Mozella made you think of a colleague, a friend, or someone on your team climbing a mountain of their own, share this episode with them, because no one climbs alone. I'm Dr. Natalie Luke, host of the UnCeiling You podcast. I'll see you next week.